Israel finally strikes Iran. Are things really about to kick off? Hi, this is Everyday Prepper. Welcome to the channel. So Israel, after saying they wouldn't retaliate with any attacks until after Passover, which would have been about the 1st of May, have decided to launch some attacks overnight on Iran. So I woke up this morning to all the news is saying Israel have launched missiles at Iran, or launched an attack on Iran. When you look into it a little bit more deeply, it sounds like, Israel have not said anything at all. The US don't seem to have been warned. Iran are playing it down, saying literally they weren't attacked by a foreign entity or foreign country. So it sounds like the attacks were from inside of Iran anyway, and that they were drones, literally quadcopters, and any explosions that were seen over or heard over Iran were due to their air defences destroying these drones. So they're not the kind of drones that were had a payload on and that was sent over from Iran to Israel last week. These are literally quadcopters, which to me sounds like some sort of surveillance. So it's all being very played down, and sounds like Iran is not going to retaliate. So basically nothing to worry about. So that's all from me. No, I'm only joking. Something to look at. It's a little bit strange that after Israel saying they're absolutely going to retaliate, and then they just do this, and even some of their own ministers are saying that the response is very weak. So a little bit odd. I'm wondering whether it was a bit of a recce. Sending drones in there, quadcopter drones, which will obviously have 4K cameras on, and it was over Isfahan, which is where Iran apparently have a nuclear program. So maybe they were doing some surveillance of some kind, reconnaissance, to maybe launch another attack unannounced. We shall see. So from a prepping point of view, what do we need to do? Well, watch fuel prices. I'll cover that in a second. Food prices, everything else. With all this uncertainty, and certainly when you've got mainstream media turning around and saying, is World War III on the horizon? There's lots of mention now of nuclear and World War III. So things are escalating, and so we do need to keep an eye on it. But this is from the UK perspective. It's 2,000 miles away. As far as I'm concerned, as long as they can contain it over there, I don't need to worry too much. But it will have an impact globally on all kind of things. The terrorist threats, food prices, and fuel prices. So it's something to keep an eye on. And obviously, this is an ongoing situation. Hopefully Iran won't decide to retaliate against this, but I've got a feeling that this isn't finished yet. So we definitely need to keep an eye on it. Two other things, one related to that, one not. Well, one kind of, is that I've seen a lot of chatter on, I'm subscribed to quite a few OSINT channels, open source intel channels, that are focused on, to do with amateur radio. And some of these channels have been talking about a US communication system called either Sky King or Sky Master, which is to do with, it's a shortwave radio. It's I'm not sure if it's encrypted, but it's usually deactivated for most of the time. But there's been a lot of activity recently on it, and what it is, it's to do with passing information or code between various strategic command centres across the US, and I think across Europe as well. They've got a lot of repeaters across Europe, where they will scramble certain aircraft to surveil areas when there's a nuclear threat, specifically towards nuclear. So what they'll do is they'll communicate between each other around and look out carefully for any signatures of a nuclear launch. Now, all the channels are saying, nothing to worry about, but there is a lot of activity, especially last night. There was a lot of activity when this was happening with the Israeli supposed attack on Iran. It doesn't look like Israel have actually launched anything from their soil onto Iran. We've yet to see any reports of that. But certainly a lot more chatter going on. Nobody can understand what they're saying because it's all completely coded. But it does sound like there's a lot more activity on these particular channels, which are geared towards nuclear threats. So again, it's just interesting to see that it's certainly not just what we're seeing in the news. There's a lot of other stuff going on in the background. I'm assuming to try and de-escalate the whole situation. The other thing which concerns me really is there was a report the other day just saying about the psychological impact that drivers are about to have because of fuel prices going up, and they're heading towards £1.50 a litre for petrol. I think diesel's going up as well, and that majorly affects me. I'm a delivery driver, so and self-employed, so I pay for my own fuel, and so that really does impact me. What can I do about it? Well, I've got spare fuel, so I can get fuel at last week's or last month's prices. But I'm also looking into different methods of transport, possibly keeping things really local with an electric bike or a scooter, moped, something like that, just to cut down the overall running costs of my vehicle. But they're suggesting, like the AA and the RAC are suggesting, there's going to be a massive psychological impact. I've never really heard that phrase used before when it comes to fuel, but they're obviously anticipating some hikes in fuel. And of course, what will that do? Well, if the fuel, certainly if diesel goes up, then food prices will go up accordingly because of all the delivery trucks having to foot the bill for extra fuel. It's something else to keep an eye out for. So yeah, really just an update. Keeping a finger on the pulse, hopefully. I know you can all do that anyway, checking out the news and various bits and pieces. But there's a lot of other intel out there which is quite interesting. You have to kind of piece it all together really to see the bigger picture. So hopefully you found this interesting. If you are new to the channel, my name's Steve. I make videos about prepping in the UK or preparedness in the UK. We look at the ins and outs of what prepping means, what prepping is for beginners, and also look at current affairs and how they may affect the prepping landscape, certainly from a UK perspective. So if you like that kind of thing, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content like that. In the meantime, let me know your opinions in the comments as to what's going on. It's all still very up in the air. Hopefully it won't escalate, but something definitely to keep an eye out for. But in the meantime, thanks very much for watching and stay prepared.